Good evening and welcome to the 2024 Senior Bouldering Nationals Final. Pete Woods here with Madison Fisher. We're going to go straight to the floor to the athlete introduction, and then we're going to come back and get you situated for tonight's action. Oh, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a little bit of time now to go through the athletes' preview of these boulders. So they're going to get 2 minutes to look at each of their finals boulders in a group, which gives us about 8 minutes of time to talk a little bit about rock climbing. Madison, I'm always excited for finals because it is the time that we get to showcase a little bit more showy boulders. Semifinals are always a punch in the face. We got from 20. The route setters pay a lot of attention. We come down to this 6. We know that there's going to be some moves that are maybe a little outside of the box. When you were like sitting back in ISO before our finals, and let's go national championships instead of World Cup level climbing, national championships, are you excited for big showy moves? What were you like most looking forward to when you came out from behind the curtain?
Well, when I first take a look at the boulders, I'm looking for whether I can do them or not.
Step 1,
yeah.
Can I do the boulder?
Exactly. The style is, for me, I'm just such a competitor. I'm just looking at what can I do? How many attempts is it going to take me? Can other people do it? That's kind of just running through my head. Of course, we are looking at the boulders with all of our competitors, so it's a little bit of an interesting situation compared to semis and qualifiers.
And different from almost every other sport, and in which the collaboration, as you see the women here, and now the men miming out, they're talking to each other. It's not always all 6 athletes together. Sometimes you're with, maybe one person you trust. Sometimes you're with a teammate. Sometimes you're on your own. But the collaboration is real. You're talking about what would you do? What do you think that is? How do you know that hold? Is it a good crimp? Is it a stressful situation to be going through? If people are talking about beta that you didn't envision, are you second guessing yourself? Like, how does that play out for you on the mats as a finalist?
No, absolutely. I am absolutely second guessing things. My beta reading maybe isn't the best at times, so I do lean on people sometimes in this preview. If I do see one sequence, they think of another. You got 4 minutes to do this boulder. You have time to try out a couple of different betas. It's good to have one in your back pocket that you get from this initial sequencing with your competitors.
And for us watching it, as it often plays out, is you'll see 2 or 3 athletes do something completely different from everyone else that's either more successful or less successful. Like they talked about that. They got together like, oh, I'm going to skip that crimp. And you're like, that's maybe risky, but maybe not. The idea here being that the route setters can now set slightly more complex boulders. We give them a minute less to climb. So when they come out to climb the boulders, they only have 4 minutes instead of 5. But overall in a semifinal, you burn through about a minute thinking and brushing and working out a sequence anyway. So this, you get extra time, more complex boulders, longer rest, so potentially more powerful boulders. Generally speaking, the finals were in for a bigger show and less of a bloodbath like semifinals.
Absolutely.
Semifinals was absolutely, if you watched it, you know. We'll give you that little reminder recap. So the top climber out of the men's field came out with 2 tops and 4 zones. And then you got in with 1 top and 3 zones.
And that's typically how it goes with the semi-round. I think we're trying to get the most separation we can, so they got to be hard.
They got to be hard, and they were.
Send the hardest boulders.
Absolutely, and the route setters are watching that and going, what are they struggling on? What are they doing well? Is it a good day? Is it a bad day?
And oftentimes they'll use the results from semis to potentially tweak boulders in finals if they think they need to be harder or easier.
Exactly. On the women's side, the top of the field, 2 tops and 4 zones, and Babette, the only climber to do the paddle move as it was intended, and really showing the extra power she has in the bank. But you got in with 3 zones. So that's mentally difficult to not top a boulder and be like, oh, I made the finals.
Like I was going to say, like nationals is for many athletes an experience event. And so to come into and make maybe your first semifinal and then come away with 1 zone, maybe no zones, it does feel bad. But it is important that you know that the semifinal round is the hard round. And if you look at the bar for finals, you'll realize you didn't actually do that badly. You know, one less zone is actually quite close to the bar for semifinals, or for finals.
And that's, it's exactly the point. I love that you brought that up, is that we've, over the last, I would say, half decade, 5 or 6 years, we've ratcheted up the level of Canadian nationals. And some people get shut out in the qualifier, and some people get shut out in the semifinal. But if your goal is to climb internationally, then you need to know where the bar is, and you need to have something to strive for, and not be given this sort of maybe a false sense of like, oh, I'm real good at rock climbing. I won Canadian nationals, but you won Canadian nationals on boulders that were easier than a World Cup semifinal. So I'm gonna ask you a couple little insights, having climbed at this level, having podiumed at this level, and having been now climbing on the World Cup for a couple of seasons. How much does this experience prepare you for your first World Cup? Is it similar but different? Is it worlds different? Is it like, I got this, no I do not? What was that transition like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think mentally, like the mental game is the biggest thing. Like when you're competing against people that you have maybe been a fan of for a few years or you look up to, it's hard to actually think of yourself on the same level as those people. But if you qualify with your country, you absolutely deserve to be in a World Cup. So that's the first kind of hurdle you gotta get over, and it takes years to get over that kind of thing. I'm only now kind of coming on the other side of it, but it absolutely took at least 3 seasons to get there. In terms of the actual level, I'd say style and difficulty are both slightly different, not completely off base. I'd say the semi-final round is probably the most representative of maybe a qualifier round in the World Cup. I think a lot of athletes go to World Cups for the first time and they realize they're not quite as hard as you maybe build them up in your mind. So if you're doing semi-final boulders, you're probably right about the level that you need to be for a World Cup qualified bowler. It's just about the mental game and just being able to execute it within that 5 minutes and on the World Cup stage, outside when it maybe is a little bit hotter out.
Maybe you didn't have what you normally have for lunch.
Absolutely.
Maybe you're sleeping on a hotel bed that's not comfortable at all.
Yeah, we almost don't think of those things when it comes to World Cups, but those are actually kind of the most important things at a certain level. Once you get to the physicality, it's all about like getting everything right on comp day.
And I think it's often we look, especially as Canadians, because we're emerging onto the international scene more and more in recent years. And people look at results and they're like, oh, we had a bunch of people in 30th and 25th, and like, oh, why aren't we better? But as you say, it takes seasons. And I remember our sort of benchmark for World Cup is Sean McCall, who was like renowned on the international stage, not for being a Canadian, but for doing incredibly well at World Cups. Couple of seasons of average, another season of average, moved to Europe, made a semifinal, made a final. So how much does that embedding yourself in the culture, and as we say, you train with people better than you get better. Now you've had a little bit of experience with that recently. Do you think it's an important step, a necessary step, or a nice to have, spend some time in Europe, spend a summer, spend a season?
Well, I think Sean came up at a very different time in Canada. It was a lot less developed. There was really no one like him out there. And so he also just spoke French as a person. So it was a great choice for him to go to France and continue to train and develop there. I think right now, especially in Montreal, it's becoming less and less important to go out and find what you need in Europe or in Asia. I think we're starting to get it here, and I think we need to push to keep having like high-level bouldering and lead here, because we need to start developing Canada's athletes in Canada.
Absolutely, and Hayden and I were talking about it a little bit earlier, is that the scene in Montreal specifically, the density is so high in Montreal for climbing that the gyms that expand out have the ability to both set commercially and set super difficult boulders for people to train on. So you don't have to leave. Whereas sort of 18, 15 years ago, you had to make do with the commercial gym set and try and just climb the hardest boulder in the gym and wait a month.
Yeah, well, we're climbing at Bloc Chabanel today, which is one of the original gyms that really started the movement in Montreal. They have 3 locations now. This is the first and biggest location.
Yeah.
And I think Bloc Chap I think a lot of credit is due to Bloc Chap for the climbing scene in Montreal. And then we've just got so many more gyms that just kind of have a similar style now, kind of building upon what Bloc started in, I don't know, 2014, 2017, something like that.
Oh, absolutely. You're spot on. I think we as the Canadian climbing community have a lot to thank the Bloc Shop for in terms of making the decision to say we can have a dedicated area for competition level bouldering. Like we can do these things, and bringing route setters that have the talent to set at that level, helping do those route setter exchanges to bring in route setters that have international experience and do that. So the growth has to come, it has to start inside, it has to start with route setters, gym owners, athletes, and then it has to be people bringing it back. So you've done some World Cup seasons, you come back, when you're in the gym, people maybe are like a little bit like, oh my goodness, that's Madison, like, and you're really approachable. Do people come and ask you for advice, like, you know, how would you, like, how do I get my bouldering career off the ground?
Yeah, absolutely, all the time. It's becoming more frequent now that I'm living here now. I moved here from Toronto, and then before that I was in Germany for a little bit. But yeah, now that I'm staying here, people are seeing me more and more often, and they feel more comfortable to come up and talk to me. I think there's a little bit of a barrier, kind of almost a starstruck kind of element that prevents people from talking to us. But we're super approachable. We've got tons of a wealth of information. You know,
Yeah.
Tap on our shoulder.
You do. I'm just going to put it out there right now. If you see Madison and Zach in the gym, just go say hi. Just go say hi. It's worth noting that this year's winner will be different from last year's podium. Zach, who you know relatively well, is currently competing at the Pan Ams in Santiago, Chile. And then Anna Kelly, the whole women's podium will be different. Last year it was Anna Kelly, Emil Kellenen, and yourself on the podium. On the men's side it was Zach, Guy, and then Hugo Dorval. So Guy McNamee, of course, has a chance to re-podium.
Yep.
Always
and
a favorite.
He's won it twice before as well.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time that anyone other than Sean has won it
More than one. It's amazing. I mean, I was saying earlier on the semifinal broadcast that I sort of, the climbers are young here and young there, and you look through the list, it's 18, 20, 18, 20, 21. But that's not young anymore. That's the field.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's shifted down like almost a half a generation. Young, strong, driven, smart, and we're going to see all of that on display tonight. We are going to go, as finals, we get to focus on one athlete at a time in the field. So we're going to have only one climber on the men's and the women's, and it gives us that chance to be a lot more focused on what's going on, give you some better details. And right out of the gate, we're going to have Elise Villeneuve and Lucas Uchida, 4 minutes on their boulder. On the women are starting on the far left of the gym, and the men are starting pretty much all the way down on the right side where they started their semifinal.
Yeah, so these boulders are both relative slabs. They kind of go in and out of slab. I think the women's are starting on kind of an overhang, and the men's are starting on slab and then back into a slab again.
So a nice showy boulder for the men to start, a little hip hop. And then Elise, as you say, climbing sort of into this book corner and then around onto the slab. Some big moves, some volume climbing. We're going to get a little bit of everything tonight. And you are just going to come along for the ride with us. And it's hard to come out first, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I would say, it's hard to come out at any point. First
It's always difficult, true.
First might be the best situation because you haven't heard what anyone's done on this boulder yet. The crowd is quite loud. You can hear it from isolation. So you can tell if someone's chopped. Sometimes the announcer might even say, oh, that was a flash. And so it's no question you know what has been done already. And that you don't have in any other round.
And we're going to talk about that more and more as we go. And I want to get your insights, Lucas, almost getting the...
Yeah, it just wasn't quite accurate enough on that crimp there.
Yeah, I want to get into over the next hour and change, and just you do know where you sit in the field, and you do either listen or don't listen to the crowd. They do go back to isolation, so they'll go back together after they finish their boulder. So you have the opportunity to talk about it if you want, or you can put your headphones on and tune out if you want. And all of that plays into the mental side of finals, which is, I mean, it's not as difficult, but the mental side of competition climbing is significant. Just trying to make that transition is going to be a bit of a fight, but 2 minutes on the clock, still lots of time. Lucas with the hop, gets it.
So there's no holds in between, which means that the move to the top is very difficult.
Yeah, and that's one of those clues you get when you're previewing. Is like, wait a minute, from zone to top is 0 holds.
Yeah.
That move is going to be more difficult than maybe it appears.
Well, I'd say this boulder is relatively simple. It's basically 2 moves here. And so, we have to pick a zone that you land on. You can't have a zone that you're moving off of. So the options are limited, but, the route setter knows this. So to go from zone to top, it doesn't get a lot of good separation if anyone that gets the zone immediately gets the top. So you want to have that last move be pretty difficult.
Yeah, and I personally love that kind of thing. I love that, like, oh, you would have earned this more than maybe on the other top because it's a 1 move.
For sure. And the separation round is semis, but we also need to separate in the finals.
Yes, we do need to separate the finals. You're right. We call it separation. So Luke is maybe a little slower.
Oh.
Yes, gets the squeeze and the toe. Good stuff, Lucas Uchida. So he might be on a bit of a roller coaster today. He was a top qualifier into semis, almost just snuck into finals, and now, I mean, you got to think is in the favorite category, given his pedigree. And you just watch how once that toe sets, no mistake. Yeah, it'd be fun to go first, 6th first.
Yeah,
I'd be excited for that.
Honestly, that happens more often than not. Yeah, a lot of athletes that come out in 6th have no pressure and are able to just perform.
You get that I'm just happy to be here moment. Like, I'm just happy I made finals, I did my job. Everything from here going forward is gravy, but heck yeah, I want to win. And you just bear down.
Yeah, well, that's what almost every woman in this final is coming in with. They have never been in the final before. So they're all kind of in, 6th place would be great for any of them.
Right.
This is already top score. So whatever place they land in is going to be, I'm sure, very exciting.
And then you have to remind yourself, I deserve to be here. Like what you were saying, you come out to your first World Cup, you're like, man, I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I earned my spot to get here.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd say the level of semifinals did not change. We've got a few athletes missing at the Pan Ams this weekend. But I don't think that the level of semifinal or even the caliber of these boulders has changed because of that.
No, I mean, you're right. We lost a couple of people on the top end. Jacqueline Ho, Evangelina Briggs, and on the men's side, Zach, Matt Rodriguez, Oscar Baudron, Ian Tan, Dylan Smith. But they've also been scattered around in the results of the last few years at Nationals as well. They haven't all just been winning.
For sure,
So the field is relatively deep these days. Molly Drew, I love that. The shin. Yeah, thigh push.
Honestly, oftentimes with corners, we find some athletes doing all sorts of different things. There's no one beta to navigate a corner. It's always going to be funky, and it's always very interesting to watch.
And often uncomfortable.
Yes, yeah. And I know that this corner, too, is overhanging, so they're kind of arching their back a little bit, and it's putting a little, it's not a comfortable position. They may look like they've got it under control, but it's not super easy.
And the release momentum here isn't straight line either, is it?
No, well, yeah, so they've got the zone here. Yeah, but you got to stab that foot. It's interesting, yeah, because the zone, you can kind of get to that fairly easy as long as you can navigate through the corner. But it is about the top on this boulder. I feel like the second half of this boulder is going to be the real test.
Yeah. And you just say it transitions into proper slab.
It does, yeah. There's a couple volumes that make it even slabbier. So this men's boulder is interesting because it's, we saw a top from our 6th place qualifier. So it's really about execution. I think we're going to see a lot of tops on it. It's going to be about the attempts. And that's what finals is typically about, is how many attempts these athletes are taking. And that's sometimes the difference between first and even third.
Absolutely. And you need to be able to dial in your decision-making in a smaller window. You're like, oh, you can't take 10 tries. You need to be able to say, so Leo's now, that's his 4th swing, but he's grabbed it every time. So he's either got to push a little harder, push a little close. Something has to adjust, and he's got to do it soon.
And this is where nerves start coming in. You're very aware of how many attempts you're taking, and you start maybe fumbling a little bit more than you
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Excellent work from Molly. Just a little hop skip.
Yeah, so this is our first look at the rest of this slab here.
Oh, Leo grabs.
But can he execute the finish move on his first try? Oh.
Oh, I love it. Little sneaky drop knee. Good work from Leo. Molly getting this foot switch sorted.
Yeah, she's looking pretty calm on this.
Tiny thumb undercling.
So there's not much chalk on this finish hold, which makes me think.
Yeah. that it's just going to be one of those. Molly Dreher with smooth calmness across the finish of Boulder number 1.
Yeah, and again, Molly knows that the person forward did not in the top, so I'm sure she's this top here. And it was in a relatively short, like, not too many attempts there.
Yeah. Leo looking pretty comfortable in this finish position. All right, so now we have Kaya Taylor-Ainsley and Hugo Doval.
So Hugo's on the podium in 3rd place last year. And once again in Quebec, which is his home province. Always nice to have hometown advantage.
Exactly,
Although
exactly.
He's from Quebec City, and we are in Montreal, but
You still get to hear the French in the crowd. People have a little more oomph for you when you're on your boulders.
Yeah, and those who climb in Quebec City often come to Montreal to train. It's just such a hub.
Yeah.
You know, it's a 2-hour drive, but they make the drive frequently.
Yeah. I mean, Montreal was a climbing hub in the 90s.
Yeah.
When we used to drive up from Ottawa to come and climb here because the scene was tighter in Montreal than it was in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So it's been like that for a long time.
So this is,
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. It's a
Wildly
very
different
beta.
this time.
Yeah.
And eventually, the right answer is any means necessary.
Yeah.
If you exit the corner, you did your checkbox, I did my job.
And just shy of the zone, yeah. So it's a blind zone across there. It's like hidden in the middle of a,
Oh my. Okay,
This is Hugo's bread and butter.
okay.
Come on.
So that's really, really clean work. So Hugo and Leo doing the finish the same way. Lucas had elected for that kind of dynamic compression before matching the finish. They both kept the crimp.
Yeah, and it looks like the dynamic compression was probably intended based on how much chalk is on the bottom side of the hole.
Yeah,
But obviously they go both ways.
yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to push past a Gaston like that and
Yeah,
hold that
especially
tension.
with a slopey foot. Yeah. Yeah, in a really deep drop knee right now.
Yeah, it looks flatter on the screen, but the transition, like where Kaya is now is like a 25 to 30 degree overhang, and it goes around to slab. So it looks like she's just sort of looking across at it, but you're in your own way a little bit, and the harder you push, the worse it feels. Everything's facing the wrong way. This is one of the things that route setters are trying to test.
Oh.
It's not just how hard you can pull, it's not just how strong your fingers are. Some of it is how quickly can you get comfortable in uncomfortable positions and just say, I don't like this, but I'm dealing with it.
Yeah, I think that is a key in a semifinal round and the final round. Like, yeah, the boulders are getting harder, so you're gonna not feel very comfortable. Like, that is what difficulty feels like.
Yes.
So yeah.
And that's what risk feels like.
Yeah, and that's why this is such good preparation. Like getting athletes in positions like this, where you gotta just go. You're never gonna feel good. This is what the climb feels like.
Yeah, I mean, the famous quote is that perfection is the enemy of success, or the enemy of joy as well. So if you're hunting for perfect positions, you're not doing yourself any favors, and you're going to stay stuck not wanting to leave different positions. And I'm sure you've been there where you're like, I could stay here all day, I don't want to leave, but I have to leave.
Yeah.
And it might be the hardest part of your day. Kaya does make
static down to it. Yeah.
half the transition, a minute, lots of time overall. Just making this.
Oh, and she's crossing the foot.
Yeah, that's inside flag for balance.
Yeah. See, she's just grabbing the zone, which is very little there. That's just a little bit of a stabilizing hold there. And we're down to just our thumbs.
Oh my goodness. Just gotta find, finds the balance.
Yeah.
Really nice work. That was, she went on a journey. So you come through frustration, you fall off 3 or 4 times, you execute. Again, check the box, job done.
I feel like sometimes as athletes, if you take a bit longer to get up to maybe like the end sequence, you're gonna pay more attention. It's gonna be like, I gotta do this right now. It took me so long to get up here, I have to just execute immediately. That's probably what was going through her head there. Like, now or never, especially with the clock ticking down.
And that's what you were talking about even at the beginning of the broadcast. You're talking about those nerves. They come in everywhere. They come in isolation. They come in when you're brushing. They come in the middle of the boulder where you're like, oh my God, I definitely don't want to have to do the start again.
Yeah, they almost come in that like before you're thinking about how nervous you are, and then as you're in on the wall, it just comes naturally. You don't notice it come on, but then you feel it come on the wall.
You must have had a few of those moments through your comp career where it feels like sort of your brain turns off and instincts just take over and drive.
Well,
are you looking for that? Or do you like, how often do you want to be, because can you overthink?
Yeah, you can't look for it. It has to just happen. You got to just have competed enough that it just comes when you need it to.
Right.
Hopefully. And it's tough.
So Sabrina Tearhead on the left and TJ Foley on the right side of your
Sabrina's
screen.
a pretty physical boulderer, so you can tell she tried to just jump straight into the double mantle there.
Yeah, and you do rely on what you're good at, right? Yeah. That's the step one, is do something you're good at, and then maybe do some refinements along the way.
There we go.
TJ going. So a couple of the men up to that point have hung the first swing a couple times, and TJ is just trying to get it on the rebound. Sabrina finds that opening position.
You can see there's a little thumb catch on that second black one. I don't think anyone's really used it too much. If she bumped her hand one more time, she could have something to pinch potentially.
Just a little security. There we go.
So smooth.
And also staying in the Gaston. Really nice. Really nice. And we were talking about how we're going to have a brand new podium at this event. We also have a handful of finalists who are climbing in their first nationals final. They've done well at a provincial level. They've made semis. Like, they've been up and around the top end of this event, but they're now climbing for their first time. And you think, I've been watching him, like, oh my God, TJ's been, he's only 20, but because I've been watching him since he was a youth. So from 14, he's now going on 6 or 7 years experience. And that's, at 20, making your first open final. That's kind of a normal path.
Well, it's funny. Sabrina is actually 27, but she's been competing a little bit less. She kind of had a little bit of a late start in the competition scene. So, picture her like a 20-year-old making her first final after a couple of years of training.
And you sort of picture yourself at 18, 19, or 20.
Oh, we got the thumb catch?
Almost. And like, how mature were you? Like, lots of people are they have to balance the things that you're very good at and maybe offset some of the things that you're still learning. So you can be sort of really strong, but not really kind of mature enough to be composed. So it takes you a couple seasons to learn composure. Or you can be super composed, but just don't have the chops yet to get where you need to go. And for some people, they come together immediately, and you watch people like Sienna Chow, who've been stomping all over comps since she was a youth, and we're just basically been waiting for her to arrive on the senior scene to see what she can do against the big kids. And by all accounts, we're going to see her come up shortly, but she showed in the semis that she's got that ability at 16.
Yeah.
All right, 30 seconds now for Sabrina. Has to be now.
Yeah, so I think she's already gotten the zone. Yeah, she got the thumb catch. Oh.
How much of it do you think is the stab, and how much of it do you think is maintaining possession on the zone or the crimp?
Great question. I'd have to know how bad that little crimp is. Like, it's hard to say what they're actually grabbing in there. I would assume it is both. I would assume that you gotta be holding hard and get ready to like almost catch the momentum of your foot stab, the almost shock absorption.
Because you clearly can't just swing around.
For sure.
Like the zone hold is awful. We agree.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Sienna taking the longest walk across the mats. to Boulder number 1. They do get, we don't make them run for
No,
finals.
yeah,
We give them like a good
clock
10
starts
seconds.
when they're ready. So
Yeah.
you can, you might as well not jog and give yourself a little bit of winded before
Exactly.
you start. Especially on the slab, you want to be nice and
Nice
chill.
and chill.
Into it, yeah.
And
Although
so
there is a bit of a dynamic move in it, so maybe it's a power slab.
it's a bit of both, yeah.
All right, let's see how Guy is doing on this coordination. We haven't seen anyone flash it yet. Oh. Yeah, so we're just missing the crimp there.
Yeah, by quite a lot.
Yeah.
Like he was traveling north-south instead of
Yeah.
east-west.
Well, he's got the, he's definitely got the commitment and he's got the movement dialed. It's just the direction. Yeah. So Sienna straight into the corner. And you can see some athletes choose to put their foot on that little chip there. Others just put it straight on the volume. I think it's just like comfort, honestly. It's probably fine on both sides, but having your foot on a foot chip just feels better.
Yeah, you can push versus maybe a bit of a closer position,
Yeah,
so you
don't wanna be
sacrifice.
smearing when you
Yeah.
need to do something else, yeah. Super
Wow.
smooth, yeah, that's like a quick foot switch.
Yeah, and I think we saw, I would have said Molly did that foot switch. That little
Yeah,
Texas two-step.
yeah, I think if you have too much momentum, it's going to be a lot harder. So she's not using the foot chip. I think most people use the foot chip first and then switch
And then,
them up a bit.
yeah, you're right.
So I wonder if she's going to cross the foot underneath. Oh, and
He making
there
it
we go.
happen. Slow down a little,
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
compression. No problem. Yeah, a little shake of the head tells me he thinks he should have flashed that boulder.
probably, yeah.
Sienna. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I was looking a
There,
little
but
sketchy for a second.
skipped one beat.
Yeah.
Skipped
So that
one
was
beat.
a flash then.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's really good.
Yeah. All right, 2 tops in quick work. So
Yep.
we're gonna
Just like
send
that. And when you're
athlete.
sitting in ISO and you know that 4 minutes hasn't gone by, you know the person in front of you flashed a boulder. Does that make you excited or does it make you more nervous,
It's-
you personally?
No, it's adding the pressure on.
Okay,
For sure. Like
yeah.
now the bar is 1 attempt. It's not like you can just get it done. Doesn't matter how long it takes. That is like that almost helps me flash better than knowing someone flashed already.
Awesome. Yeah, and as you were saying in the intro that you sort of know because the crowd is loud and quiet, the isolation is not soundproof,
Yep.
and you have a mental clock in your head, you know how long people come back right away, you're like, oh, everyone's flashing the boulder.
Well, some athletes in ISO like to keep their head down and have the music in the whole time to try to avoid a little bit of that because it can be like it takes up a lot of space in your head when you're trying to like how many attempts was that? You're trying to like almost calculate it out. Some athletes prefer to just keep it to themselves.
That's absolutely the perfect way to describe that. I love that you said that. It takes up a lot of space in your head because it is a limited amount of space in the competition environment. You have to have most of it focused on the job at hand. The Kinder coming, just shorting it really, just not putting enough drive.
So Babette is a shorter climber for sure. So you can see she's fully stretched out here and she's her foot not on the chip. Sienna was able to have it over there and still reach the zone.
But also stayed low instead of the drop knee and the splits and
Yeah.
chooses to climb powerfully as well. Like looks for that first, I think, most of the time.
Yeah.
Getting the, as you said earlier, 1 on the chip, 1 on the cross through. That just climb, you got to be careful to finish this clean, and Kinder's got to find a little bit of pop.
Oh, and he grabs it, yeah.
Nice. Babette with a flash. Kinder with a
Lead climbing chalk up.
unnecessary chalk up, but
Yeah.
that is his nature. And is he going to go without the little swing?
You see, in training, I have a feeling he would just go straight for that zone. No hesitation. But in comps, it's different. Attempts matter a lot. So you kind of hesitate a little bit more in comps than you do naturally.
And maybe that you can, to your own detriment sometimes, to be a little bit too careful. Nice, really clean finish there. Just that all the other men had the sort of swing and go, and he just chose the drag over. I kind of love that.
Yeah. So I think we had all the men do the first boulder, which is totally A-okay.
Yep.
It doesn't put them on an even playing field because everyone had different attempts. I don't think there was any flashes, but I think Hugo did second attempt.
Yep. Lucas maybe 3, Guy 2 or 3. Yeah, it's going to mix it up.
So I think we got Hugo in the lead, and then Sienna and Babette are tied. However, due to count back to semifinals, right? They didn't tie in
Yeah, there were no ties in semis, and you're right. That is our tiebreaker. So if we have a tie in finals, we do go back to semifinals, and that's how we break that tie.
So currently, Babette is in the lead due to count back. Yeah.
And it's a good segue to that you can be checking the results at home with cec.results.info. The scoring is live, so after every boulder, after every climber has finished their boulder, the score will go in live. So you can follow along. We'll pull it up here and there. But yeah, by all means, keep track live. I think you can probably watch also the live scoring from the Pan Ams.
Yep.
I'm not sure when the men are climbing. Is it tomorrow or tonight?
Yeah, today's the rest day for the bouldering event. And they're also 2 hours ahead of us. So at this point, I think everyone's
asleep.
Getting ready for bed.
Yeah, getting ready for bed.
But we did have lead semifinals today.
Yeah.
We had a couple men that are going through to semis or to finals in, I don't know, tomorrow or the day after.
And there's a little break here. Let's take this minute to give a big shout out to Beta Breakers, who is both the desire, the love, the passion, and the technology behind our live stream. Came up from New York, is absolutely doing wonderful things in the climbing community to bring live streams out so that we can get more climbing in front of you, grow the excitement, grow the community, and just keep putting climbing on TV screens. That's what we need to have. And it can't just be World Cups. The World Cups are great. I love World Cups. They're fine. But I like watching crushers, and how they got there. Absolutely
correct. We want to see them
correct.
in their home environment, on their home boulders. What are they training on?
Yeah, and are they in their first final? Are they a little bit nervous? Like there are storylines that thread their way through from semis to finals. Some of these climbers are climbing in lead starting on Sunday. So our national championships is Boulder and lead. So we're going to be having qualifiers coming to you on Sunday, finals on Monday. So some of them are like also, it's in the back of your mind. I'm like, oh, I could maybe double, right? As soon as you make the final in Boulder, you're like, ooh.
So I think Guy has done that, and I believe Babette as well, lead and Boulder.
I think you are correct.
Season,
yeah, and as we said, Sienna Chow is the only youth climber to get the Triple Crown, which is super rare now, which is lead, speed, and boulder champion, and she did it 2 years in a row as a youth.
Yeah, it's not often that we have a speed climber also excelling at boulder and lead.
Yeah.
You know, speed is typically a discipline on its own. People are
an all-rounder.
Speed specialists, and then, or they do lead and boulder, or lead, or boulder. But yeah, all three is quite rare, especially with the Olympics switching away from all three combined as of the last Olympics. So yeah, it's cool that some people still find a lot of value. I think there is a lot of value in training all three. The speed, you're so powerful when you have that speed background. Lead, great for just flowing on the wall and just obviously having that endurance factor. And then bouldering, of course, I think speaks for itself. The power and the coordination.
Yeah, and I think lead also teaches you to a little bit more of the think on your feet because of one try, like only try.
Yeah.
So you pull on, there is no, I'll just take a breath and go again.
We'll talk about stress management too. Like, you only have one attempt with bouldering, at least you can try again if you fall.
You could throw yourself at it for 4 minutes. What we're seeing here is the route setters want to set the women's boulder in a way that would have been in the way of the men's boulder.
Yep.
So they put it up for the preview, then they take it down so the men can climb, and then they put it back up again. The athletes get an extra 3 or 4 minutes rest. It's irrelevant. The finals rest time, if everybody's flashing their boulders, the rest time's like 8 minutes. If everybody's thrashing their boulders, the rest time is 20 minutes. So you're not expecting a specific amount of rest between Boulder 1 and Boulder 2. We got lots of this happens all the time. I kind of love that they decide, they're like, this is where this boulder needs to go, and they just put in the extra work.
Well, when Bloc built the comp wall, this was like an innovative thing to have a comp wall in the climbing gym. But they didn't make it big enough because boulders just getting longer and
They
more
are,
traversy.
and the holes are just getting larger.
Yeah.
The real estate is huge.
Yeah, so they wanted to go big with these boulders, so they did not have enough space for the entire boulder.
And they're looking for anything they might have left behind. No screws on the ground.
Yeah, they're pros. They know they typically have tick marks on the wall that show where each hole needs to be. And you'll notice this boulder too has some dual text only holes, which we will encounter in a bit. I'm not sure which. I think that's boulder 3. So we'll see that in just a couple boulders here. But for now, we're going to turn our attention to women's 2 and men's 2. So I think we're heading into more steep terrain now.
Yeah, a little bit of powerful pulling. These holds are, there's no way to avoid wrestling a boulder like this.
So
Big surface area.
Most of the athletes after the semifinal had pretty good skin. Skin is typically a concern in comps like this, where you got 3 rounds and you've got fiberglass and dynos. Typically, athletes will bleed, and I don't think anyone that is in this final bled this morning. So we've got skin to spare, and I think this is where we're going to use it.
We are going to empty the bank for skin, and you're right. I don't think I saw any blood on any of the semifinals.
Well, typically, athletes will almost be tactful with how they attempt boulders in order to kind of preserve for a potential final. But we do have a lot of new finalists, so it's possible that they didn't care at all.
No, they're just full bore the whole time.
Yeah.
Elise Villeneuve and Lucas Uchida back out here. The men have to navigate a bunch of very similar pinches, and the women are just a little bit more burly.
And it looks like they both have a couple crimps in here, some pretty small crimps. This next one that Elise is heading to looks very small.
Yeah,
and she's still matching on it.
Yeah, no. Kind of finding that perch position, not maybe perfectly comfortable. Trying to find a little.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to be pressing with the knee. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the little double.
She wants it.
Yeah, that right elbow's starting to come up, though.
Yeah, we're getting bumped.
Yeah, she's fighting, of course, as you do. At least not quite. This part of the wall is, also, again, steeper than it looks on your screen at home. I think it goes about 30 degrees.
Yeah, no, the cave is obviously, almost a roof, and then it does not equal out to a vert. It goes still overhanging, very much so.
So although the finish holder looks good.
Yeah. It's hard to, if you want to get your hand all the way around it, you really got to, go and really burrow down on it. So I think it's more optimal to get a perch like she was looking for.
Nice. Lucas swinging into the toes here.
And you've got the zone.
Pulling out the tactics.
Oh.
Really nice. Shifted so much weight into the heel there.
And I think we've got a crimp on there because he keeps grabbing the exact same spot.
Lucas Uchida coming into the finish and making it happen. Mm-hmm. This is what we would have expected after his qualifiers performance.
It's almost
vintage.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the root setters sometimes try to throw a boulder that's going to get you tired, kind of early in the round, to just shake things up a bit, see how everyone's endurance is.
I think that's this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get people to fall later on in the round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is important to remember that the boulders are not sort of independent of each other. They're set intentionally as a set of 4. So, yes, we're trying to test different styles. We're trying to test your commitment. We're trying to test your risk aversion. We're trying to test your squeezability. We're trying to test how well you read coordination. But then we're just also going to make you a little bit tired. These are all of the tools in the root setter's toolbox that they pull out, and not every comp has every element. They're picking and choosing, and sometimes the rounds aren't that physical, but they're all mentally draining and they're less physically taxing, and they're more like, oh my God, I was tuned into 100, at least making that move look pretty clean again. Back up.
And we got a knee bar there. I'm sure that doesn't feel super comfortable. Probably new holds that we're knee barring on there. And these holds are all stacked on top of each other, so that's actually not one big hold. Those are 3 holds.
Yeah, they built those shapes.
Yeah, so we're back into the finish. You can tell she was tired. Like she and I think that's actually a mature training tactic or a competition tactic to wait down the clock because you know you fell at the finish. So it's, that's an opportunity to wait down the clock, get as much rest as you can, and then put one last go on it. Because you know the only move to do is the final, so you might as well wait because you know you're going to get back up there.
And it's hard to do that. It's hard to stand on the mat and watch the clock tick down.
Yeah.
And even though you know all your training, your coach's voice is in the back of your mind, you know it's the right thing to do, but you're like, you see some climbers will sit down almost as a way to force themselves not to just get back on the boulder.
Well, it's exponentially harder when the male athlete has already topped and you're now the only person on the mat. You immediately are aware of that as soon as you sit down.
All eyes turn around.
Yeah, well, there's no action going on, so you're just the one depriving the crowd of action.
I love the way you describe that, and you feel the pressure. Like, I'm the show, and I'm having a sit down.
Yep.
Molly being careful through the beginning. And Leo, a couple of misses, but now working it out.
All right, let's see if he figures out this next sequence here. Yeah, you would never go for a dual text like that unless there was a thumb crimp in there.
But even that's sort of an exploratory attempt. Like that didn't look commitment.
Well, I mean, maybe he's really good at pinches, and he thought he could, use the thumb to really get it.
Touche, touche. Maybe he's very good at pinches. Yeah.
But it could also have been he's not in a good position, and you got to just try something.
Yeah.
It's better than just you never want to just jump off the wall.
No, because you don't learn how to leave the position you were stuck in if you just sort of fall backwards.
So now he's felt that hold. So at least he knows, can he try maybe to do that and just try a little harder, you know? Or should he just ditch it?
Yeah. Like every attempt, if you're not taking information and filing it away for the next attempt, is a lost attempt.
For sure. So let's see how he uses that attempt. Yeah, so again. So he thought he could do it for sure.
So enough, I love it. Slows down the momentum with the pinch and then rolls it into that sort of inside-out Gaston. You saw Lucas get the toe early. He got the toe, but that's taxing, especially that kind of turning your elbow inside out.
Yeah.
It's hard to maintain the power through your fingers.
So Leo and Molly are both Ontario climbers. And Ontario is, Molly's a bit more of a lead climber, I'd say. That's probably the one she prefers. But yeah, in general, the bouldering in Ontario is a little bit more burly. So you can see that style coming through with Leo a little bit there.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because that's what Hayden talked about on the semifinal this morning was that there are, Leo, it's like we made him do it. Leo's having a sit down. Hayden was talking about regional setting styles, and then you bring that into your nationals experience.
Yeah.
And the loop is setting, climbing, and the setter, you climb what they set, and then they read, and then they go. So you can end up with sort of powerful versus techie versus comp style bouldering.
Yeah.
And Montreal, as you were saying, is kind of the hub for
the coordination hub of the country. So yeah, the move that Leo's going for is quite taxing. You can tell, like, as soon as you start not getting there again, you can tell it's taken a lot out of him.
And Molly as well.
And Molly, So I don't think Molly's gotten the zone yet, but Leo certainly has. So Leo's looking for a top, and Molly's looking for a zone at this point. We've got less than a minute left. Of course, though, if Molly gets the zone, she's going to keep going.
She's going to keep climbing, yeah, absolutely.
But the goal in her mind right now is to get that zone. So we need some points on the board. If we don't get the zone, there's nothing really to show for on the bowler. We got to get at least the zone here, because that can be a big deal.
So that toe.
Oh, yeah, the power.
Just doesn't have that one arm squeeze. As soon as you have to let go, fall into a toe, and it becomes that one arm lever. Super powerful. And Lee's made it look quite clean.
Yeah.
She is a powerful climber.
And I wonder, like, she's from Alberta. So yeah, I wonder if there's a difference there with some of the style.
It could be the Villeneuve blood.
Yeah, it could.
it lends itself to a little extra squeeze.
Yep.
All right, Kaya Taylor Ainsley and Hugo Dorval. So Kaya Young, 18 years old. She was climbing as a youth this season. So in February at Youth Boulder Nationals, and second on the podium. So like has that pedigree.
And she travels for comps all the time. She goes to the North American Cup. She went to the Salt Lake one. She went for lead. She goes lead in Boulder. I'd say almost equally. She's pretty well-rounded in terms of the two disciplines. But yeah, she is definitely committed. She's going all over the place.
All in, yeah.
And she's definitely on the upswing as well. Hugo, on the other hand, moved to France recently, so he's back in town just for nationals, and he's going back to France after this.
Which is not a terrible place to live.
I was gonna say, especially for someone from Quebec.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the Sean move, as you were saying earlier.
Just go embed yourself. If we talk about Montreal being the hub of climbing culture in Canada, France is one of the original hubs of climbing in the world, in Europe especially, but worldwide.
Yeah.
You cannot. I mean, the climbing is everywhere in France. And it's not a terrible place to live.
Yeah.
The bread is good, the wine is good, the cheese is good.
And I think just Paris is such a fun city. I think the whole team just naturally lives there. You wouldn't want to live anywhere else. It's the most populous city. There's not as many big cities in France as maybe Canada, because we're so spread out. So, there's a huge hub in Paris because of that. And I think that's where Hugo's landed.
And it's such an important distinction is that Canada and America are massive. So you generally you train with your group at home. And as you look, we have representation from all the provinces. This is the only time, this and the high performance, so the only time you climb with us climbers in the country. And in smaller countries, you might have 6 national team members in your home gym.
Yeah.
And you just get to be around the best. Kaya tried something different on her second attempt because this wasn't working. Tried to climb around the volume.
And Hugo's figuring it out.
Oh, look at that. Just barely getting 2.
Yeah, about 2 minutes left on the clock here.
Oh my good. Yeah, I'd be holding my shoulder too. I thought he was going to save that. That was very, very powerful.
Yeah. So at least he knows the way. So now that he's felt that, he can now try to get into that position in a more efficient way. So hopefully he's got more energy the next time he tries to do that.
You sort of skip some of the mistakes you made getting there the first and second time. You're like, oh, let's just go from A to Z instead of halfway down the alphabet on the way.
So you'd think maybe he's completely drained from that attempt, but if you can climb that again efficiently, you have a good chance. If he waits, if he waits down the clock a little bit, gives himself, it's not a lot of time, but if you give yourself a little bit of rest, could definitely go.
You just need that half a breath more blood back in your fingertips and your forearms.
Yeah.
You bring your heart rate back down a beat or two.
So it looks like Kaya is
walking
away.
Yep. Which is it's a business decision.
Yes,
it's a business decision. Time will tell. She thinks it's exactly the right thing to do, so we agree, of course.
Yeah. Well, there is a lot of time between climbers because of this format, but skin is not. That's a finite resource, so you do have to manage that.
And frustration is a finite resource as well.
All right, let's see if Hugo can get this done. Oh, he's going.
Is he? He is.
He's going straight for it. Oh, yeah.
So he did learn. Yes.
Oh, he looks way more comfortable.
Much quicker through the position.
Yeah. Come on.
Doesn't.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Exactly. Figures it out to get the match. The shake of the head. Doesn't love it. Doesn't love the match. Obviously hogged the crimp. Didn't love the match. Loved how many times he tried to solve it.
Well, excellent setting that you aren't able to just do that. Yeah. He figured out the first part very well, but he had not yet tried the second part, so that was completely unknown to him.
And I love the way you described that. And if you weren't listening at home, I'll say it to you again. Is the description from Madison was that if you learn the position, even if you got to it inefficiently, as soon as you know what the end position is supposed to feel like, you just get to skip ahead to it. So you find a way to pull into the position without all the messing around that you did the first time. And he was like, oh, I want to be locked in with the toe hook. Yeah. Let me go toe, locked in. And he climbed through that in 2 or 3 seconds instead of 7 or 8 seconds, which is a massive difference.
For sure. And it is hard to see that toe hook just from the ground. But once you've gotten into that position, you realize it was a toe hook all along.
And you think, oh, maybe it's a drop down compression and then another compression. And but then, oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
No, yeah.
The call was coming from inside the house all along.
And oftentimes we like to think it's always a coordination or something like that.
Right.
But, you can fool yourself.
Yeah, there's a funny movement that Sabrina comes. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
to
no,
just
this is right in her wheelhouse.
right in
here.
her wheelhouse.
Yeah.
No problem.
Into the zone. Oh yeah, super strong up into the shoulder there.
Little scorpion. TJ straight to the toe
Yeah,
hook.
he's read it perfectly.
Oh my goodness.
She's got a knee bar too. That's interesting. They both want that knee bar.
Yeah. I mean, I almost feel like there's a hip scum in here somewhere.
Yeah, I could see sitting on it even.
Yeah. TJ making
She's
moves.
looking
Sabrina.
Good. Oh yes. So that was a flash.
A flash
Yeah,
for our
that's a big
first
deal.
top.
Yeah.
TJ Foley also. A flash.
Double flash. So
That is
very
a happy
interesting.
man right there.
Yeah.
That is pure joy.
Yeah, and again, both these people are first-time finalists.
Yep.
So flashing a bullet, you know other people did not flash. Huge
Woo!
deal. Yeah.
Huge deal. Yes, excellent work.
Yeah.
I love it.
You can just feel the emotion as they're walking away there.
Yeah. Absolutely love it.
So right away, Sienna and Guy are going to have to put their shoes on very quickly.
They're like, what
Run
happened?
out, yeah.
Time to get out here.
Typically, as soon as the person before you starts, you put your shoes on because you never know. You want to be prepared. You don't want to be fumbling around, making the crowd wait.
All right.
So you'll see climbers like to climb with the lead chalk bags now, more often than they did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Guy, I think, always did. It seems like, if you're a lead climber, and the Sienna too, I guess she's also the triple crown.
Yep.
So these people, I'd say, were the most likely to have also the
And then you
chalk
see some
bag.
other people just put extra chalk. The other half of that is putting chalk on your pants and taking it with you as you go through.
I think that's a Babette style there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And Guy, the pro, finds the toe hook.
Immediately.
Yep.
And then, so you then know inherently that Kinder will,
Yep.
because they
absolutely.
definitely talked about it.
Yeah. And they also just have similar styles, as is, because they do train together.
Yeah. Sienna holding the toe hook to get a little extra chalk.
Oh.
Just a slip.
Yeah, I mean, there's dual text on the other side of all those
Mm.
rails, so it's if you put your toe a little too far around the corner, that could be the end.
Yeah.
That's the thing with dual text. You just one little too much pressure on the dual, and you're just sliding off for no given
No reason. Yeah, you think,
didn't
I'm good, I'm
expect
good,
it.
I'm good, until you're not good at all.
Very frustrating.
Sienna getting that little half seat. Look at this.
It's crazy how uncomfortable.
Look at her
everyone
right
is here.
heel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good setting.
She's trying everything. She's
Everything.
got all the ideas here. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it makes it work. I guess that's maybe a calf hook.
Yeah, a little bit of a seat maybe as well.
Really cool position.
Yeah.
Good work from Sienna to solve that.
Yeah, you always want to try a couple things, especially when you're on the finish road. You gotta give yourself every option before you maybe commit to something.
I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked Hayden. All things being equal, for your mental state, would you rather not be able to start a boulder or drop the top? What's worse for your mental state going back to ISO is I spent 4 minutes struggling on the beginning or I dropped the top?
It depends on what everyone else is doing, to be honest.
You can't escape this question. I'm going to
Yeah.
come back to it. Gets the toe hook.
All right, so he's a bit more fatigued, but again, he's a lead guy. Okay,
Okay.
maybe he doesn't have the crimp
Yeah.
quite as well.
And that's a frustrated expression from him. Like he came out, there we go. You see that? A little calf, a little seat, and a little bit. Look, I'm still up here. Yeah, I think that's a frustrated Guy right now. He's recovering.
Yeah.
He's talking to himself.
No, but he does this all the time, right? It's not that he's always frustrated, but he's done it enough times that he knows how to calm himself down.
Exactly. Yeah, he's become in the last couple of years an experienced climber. So he's been climbing on the World Cups now since 2022.
Yeah.
So he's got that big game experience. And I mean, he made himself the semifinal at a World Cup. So
Yep.
he's been in the high pressure spot before. And he's been in nationals as a youth climber and an open climber enough times.
Yeah, it's important to know Guy because just looking at his situation, it's like, I don't know if this is gonna happen, but I think we've got lots of faith in Guy at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. the ability to reel things back in. Keep this, I love it. Switch to heel
Yeah.
right away. That's the key difference. Yep.
And we got just 22 seconds on the clock here.
Oh my. So
But
he'll
calm.
know that.
He looks calm though, yeah.
He does.
And we got 14 seconds.
Oh, Shoei with 10 seconds on the clock. Guy McNamee, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, he's happy about that.
Yeah.
See, that's just like a good story. You know, you go from like frustrated, you're slipping earlier than you thought you would, and then we come full circle back to the top. That's what comps are all about.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we play the game. Really good stuff.
All right, so our last couple climbers on our second boulder.
I love that Kinder's ahead of Guy because this is the first time that that's really happened.
Yeah, they do go back and forth, but typically for the semi round, I'd say Guy is typically a little bit higher. But yeah, Kinder's been, it's not like Kinder's been trailing behind Guy
No,
by any means.
like absolutely nipping at each other's heels since they were. I mean, I remember them climbing as youth climbers in maybe Youth B. They've just been around the scene now for such a long time, and they've always been each other's best training partner.
Yep. I wish I had my own Kinder. My own Guy.
Right? And it's someone who's, I mean, they're twins, so someone who's built the way you're built and moves, initially moves the way you move.
Yeah.
So Babette,
So Babette's super
no
stretched
issue.
out here, but she's got the power. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she's going to have a better time being a little bit smaller in this position.
I think
But
that's an
I think
excellent point.
It's awkward for everyone no matter what. Yeah, she's
Right
fine.
side calf hook, maybe.
Yeah, I'm liking this.
Yeah.
She's feeling comfortable here?
And obviously the backside of that's not as good as we think.
Yeah.
Kinder fighting as well. Babs with a flash.
Yeah.
Kinder
is going for the crimp.
from the wide pinch.
I was going to say, that's kind of a more accurate move now, having to bump to that crimp like that.
Wow, that's clean.
Oh, yeah.
That's maybe cleaner than Guy. Maybe not as clean as TJ.
So I remember last year, Kinder did do the one boulder that no one else did in the final. But then he didn't do another boulder, and so he wasn't on the podium. But yeah, he's got the skills. Like, he definitely has what it takes to win this comp.
I love it.
So yeah,
Maddie, 2 boulders down.
Yeah.
We are halfway. That's how fast finals go.
Yeah.
It feels like you're going to be in for a journey. Like, all right, let's settle in. It's finals time, and then, boom, 2 boulders down, 2 boulders to go.
Yeah.
We're going to get a look at these.
Presentation too.
Pardon me?
Well, we had presentation at the beginning as well, so
Yes, yeah.
we're definitely way over the hump here. So this is our dual text boulder. Of course, with dual text, we want to have a less chalk on our hands.
Yep.
To make it stick more. But again, there's also non-dual text holds in it, so that's where it's good to have that chalk bag. So when you're done with the dual text, you can chalk up again.
And I love that this is where hold pouring and root setting is going. They're clear. It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
I've seen a few setters posting pictures setting with holds under them, under the clear, just to show that. Putting logos under the clear, like it just opens up a different aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then the men are on the shields. So this was the showpiece of the semifinal round for the women.
Oh,
Excellent
just barely
catch.
there.
Wow. This is pure slab for the men.
Yeah, so typically we found a trend that the men's and women's slabs are actually quite similar in difficulty. Maybe style is the only thing that's really differentiating.
Oh, these come
so
through the
simple like
cross
that,
jump. Good stuff.
And just one move left here. A little bit committing because we're kind of going to a dual text there.
Yeah, and getting the heel hook at least Villeneuve.
Yeah.
That's a good flash.
Yeah, I'm sure she's feeling better now after dropping the finish on number 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect the slab to be a quick flash for anyone,
No.
unless they made it a little bit easier. But I think slabs typically take time, and they're usually the ones where you bobble off very slowly instead of
Yes, instead of dramatically.
Yeah.
You can fall off for a good 5 or 6 seconds on a slab. You're like, you know and you know this, but on slab climbing, and especially in comp climbing, because you're trying so hard to stay on for the value of the attempt, but you can be falling off for quite a long time before anybody watching knows you are. You're like, maybe I can recover, maybe I can recover, maybe I can recover, and then you just tip a little bit too far out.
Yeah, that's why it's so hard to judge slabs, because sometimes when you're trying to see if someone got a zone or a top even, and they're just like, they know they're slipping, but maybe it looks like they weren't.
Good catch on that blocked undercling.
Yeah, super accurate because the blocker there. And then this looks like another tricky move here. And you can see there's one little foot chip out to the right. It's blue that hopefully I'm sure he sees. But sometimes it's easy to miss moves, even at this level of competition.
And I'm curious. Yeah, I mean.
This Boulder does not let up here.
No. Inside flag. Really nice work from Lucas.
So that's 3 for 3
Yep.
for Lucas here.
Yeah, that's these are important tops.
Yeah, that's a competitive top right there.
I'm just going to pull up our results here and see where we're at.
So on the women's side, Babette and Sienna should be tied. But again, count back is going to bring us back to first and second for Babette, then Sienna.
Correct, 2 and 2. And then at least she's got one extra boulder. So right now at the top, Babette and Sienna.
Yeah, we do have to wait until everyone finishes. One,
Yeah,
we gotta do it transition.
one climber too late to check the scores.
So I think without this boulder, I think Lucas would not have quite been in first place due to attempts. Took quite a few on 1 and a couple on 2.
Yeah.
So it would have been Kinder and then
TJ and then D. Yeah.
Yeah. But as it stands, Lucas is in first place. We'll see if anyone can grab some tops.
Yeah, do what needs to be done on the slab.
So we know Leo is a pretty powerful, strong climber. Sometimes it's a guessing game with how they're going to do on a slab.
They're all well-rounded, but they all have strengths.
At this level, you have to be well-rounded for sure.
But you definitely have either favorites or stylistic strengths.
Yeah. Oh, very modern movement there. Oh!
Ollie just getting the left hand on.
That finger strength. That's a good zone as well. It's something really dynamic around the corner, kind of a low percentage hold. Classic lâché. Yeah, doesn't even need that hold.
No. The lâché is not going away.
Nope. I'm glad we're putting it in Canadian Nationals. Like I think it's important that we stay with all the trends. For
Absolutely, yeah.
Come on.
Molly Dreyer, excellent work.
Oh, yeah.
Just making double extra super sure. And it's important what you mentioned about trends, because trends are not like flash in the pan gone. Trends travel up and down to the World Cup level and back down again and back up again. So if your goal again is to get to climb internationally, and your route setting at home has been ignoring what route setting at the highest level has been doing, you might be strong enough, but you might be in for a massive surprise stylistically when you get to World Cups and be like, well, what is this move I've literally never done before?
Yeah, and at the same time, too, you don't want to be ahead of the setting. You don't want to be thinking almost too complicated.
And you get to the World Cup, you're like, why is no one else doing 360 inside out flags?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
we're not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes World Cups even are a little bit more simple than you think they are. It's almost like the semis and the finals where they really break out the crazy, like, innovative stuff. So I think Canada, like, it's important that we copy. It's also important that we innovate ourselves. And I think we've got a lot of good setters doing that.
Oh, we have some great setters in Canada, absolutely. And I mean, two of them are down setting,
Yep.
in Santiago.
Yeah, both of them are head setters.
Here.
Yeah, here
Yeah.
and in their own disciplines. Like Caleb is our head setter of the lead,
Yep.
and Fred is head setting bouldering, which is a big deal, especially for Canadians to have a Canadian
my
at the
goodness.
helm of
Yeah.
a very major event.
And then it gets them to come back with that pedigree, and they teach, and they're both so open about sharing their knowledge.
Yep.
We're really lucky to have both Fred and Caleb in our Canadian route setting arsenal. Just all-round nice guys.
Yep.
Yeah, overall.
Yep.
Less than a minute now, so Leo's gone from a couple of misses to I need to start working what's happening here.
Yeah, and I think he's focusing a little more on the feet than on the zone, because I don't think we've gotten zone yet.
No, you're correct. He has not.
And again, you want to be thinking about the boulder, but you also need to keep in the back of your mind what your scorecard looks like.
Yeah, you're right. And it looks like he's just sort of trying to get the foot, and then when he gets the foot, I'll reach the zone. But he's so far away that even if he sticks that foot.
So we got 20 seconds on the clock, and he's chalking up.
For one more. And now, no one wants to rush a slab, but you've got to rush a slab.
Well, with 10 seconds, you're basically just getting zone here. We can't get all the way to the top. So let's,
So that's a rueful smile from Leo Santoprete. But that's how it goes. We've seen quite a few tops, so now we're conditioned to tops. We're like, oh, everyone's topping boulders. No, absolutely not. You can expect to maybe fall off a couple of finals boulders, in fact.
But again, I don't think anyone is going to be walking away upset with what happened here tonight.
No. You might be in the moment.
Maybe,
But tomorrow, Sunday, you're like, okay, that was great. I made finals. I climbed well.
Yeah. It's just, this is all just a starting point for lots of athletes here today.
Yeah, 100% correct. But once you're in the show, you want to win the show, right? Like, you yourself, you're a very, very competitive person.
Yep. Almost too competitive for this specific event.
And you've been my favorite to win nationals a couple times over the years, just because, like, from a long time ago, I recognize the fire that you're able to bring, and you still harness it now. So it doesn't go away, does it, on the World Cup stage?
I just apply it elsewhere. Just say that. All right, let's see how we're doing on this dual text.
Carefully finding the momentum.
Yeah, you can see a little hesitation because it is around the corner and away from the wall. So it's a bit more complicated maybe than it looks here.
Yeah.
But we still do it very easily.
Slam dunk.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Really nice.
Yeah.
Pretty clean. So not the most difficult boulder of the women's round, but still have to get it right. Still have to be careful.
Yeah, it's the execution, right? Can we do it first attempt? But luckily, we've got this men's boulder that takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So the athletes, the women still have to wait, even though their athlete just flashed the boulder.
I think one of my favorite things in a final is you see one of the climbers as we get just a good look at that. A nice clean perch on the heel to finish. And a little tap, tap, tap.
Yep.
I love seeing one of the climbers, men or women, fall on a boulder, and then in the meantime, the other climber flashes a boulder before the first one gets back on the wall, which is almost what we saw here. Was one attempt from Ugo.
And it can be distracting for the other climber that still has to compete. When you're resting, you're trying to think about the boulder, but you're also distracted by the crowd and just looking over and seeing what
what's happening over there? Why is everybody cheering?
Like at the same time, we also just love competitions as athletes. We like watching them. So if you're in a competition, you kind of want to see what's going on the other side.
Yeah, you're peeking around the corner.
Yeah.
Ugo.
Looking good.
Really taking his time to find that foot switch, but
you see, it looks like it's just like going straight down, but you don't know how he's feeling. Like he's like starting to bobble off, but you can see it's a block crimp. It's probably not very big either, the zone.
And he's got it,
but
and
no,
then it's got to be a half pad. We didn't get a close enough look at it before we came on the broadcast, but
I mean, we know the caliber of these athletes. Absolutely, it's not a jump. Absolutely not.
No, and it's not going to be in cut at all.
Yeah.
It's probably a foothold in its original form.
Of course, it's probably completely flat.
All right, so you go, not taking long rests, not a physically draining boulder. I do like the way he does this foot switch.
Yeah, you can tell he's done this before.
Ooh,
Go-to.
that's your fault. That's your first curse moment. You had him in the bag. You could tell he's done this before. Boom.
Yeah.
And that's also a perfect example of how quickly Slab goes wrong. He was so clean on 2 attempts to get to that position before. You're like, why would this be any different until that foot just decides it's had enough.
So with 40 seconds on the clock, we're in the zone where you could probably top it. So if we can get to the zone right now, we can probably get to the top. Oh.
Not quite. Is he going to go? He's going to take one more try because now the zone is the point. The zone is what we're trying to do.
So we've got just over 15 seconds left.
It took him 11 to get here last time.
9 seconds. Yeah.
Go. And essentially in the same place as Leo, that once you have to rush, you throw some of caution out the window, a little too much caution out the window, and you slip. Not that those weren't excellent attempts.
Yeah.
The boulder is really hard.
Yeah. Well, from the outside perspective, it feels like you should just not rush it. You just always just let yourself time out. That's like the better way to go. But in the moment, that's not what you're going to do.
No, it's not what you're going to do at all.
Yeah. I can't be on the wall when the timer runs out. No.
All right, Sabrina.
So Sabrina now knows there's been some quick tops on this boulder. The athlete, again, comes back into the final. You can see which athlete's coming back, and they go and sit on the other side of the isolation. So.
And I think maybe in preview you would have read that the jump is awkward and the lâché is careful, but overall you're like, it's going to be a boulder that we probably need to do in 1 or 2 tries.
Yeah, that's the whole stress. This is like the whole thing. Oh, and a little quick paddle there.
Yeah.
And there's that Montreal influence.
Can't avoid it.
Yeah. And she's definitely had some lâché practice.
Yep.
Oh.
There we go. And it is, you come around a bit of a corner here. So the start is overhung, the middle is overhung but different.
Yep.
So it's not a straight across lâché. You do have to kind of change direction on the bounce.
Yeah, lâchés they're always one of a kind. So you can be good at lâchés, but you gotta learn each lâché on its own.
On its own. And that's part of climbing both semifinals and finals, is you have to read a movement, execute a movement, and learn a movement in a very short amount of time.
So you'll see Sabrina got right back on the wall, which means she probably knows what she needs to do now. And you want to just kind of capitalize on that muscle memory while you have it.
And you just got to get a little bit further on the swing.
She might have just been thinking about the next move and not about the lâché, because she did the lâché well. It was just the final few hands.
And I love this because everybody watching at home, no matter whether you're climbing V1 or V12, has a moment where you're like, yeah, I was thinking about the next move.
Yeah.
Like, it's relevant across the sport at every level. You're like, oh, I've done this, it's no problem. And then you get caught kind of a gentle lapse in focus.
For sure.
TJ was super focused, and the foot just
He looks completely still, yeah. Oh.
So
You can see
clean.
his foot didn't quite get in there, but he just inched it so slowly down.
Really good stuff.
Yeah, great footwork.
And I mean, he does match the boulder perfectly.
Yes.
This is
with
your
the
photo
short
op.
tip. Oh!
Oh, rushed it.
He almost saved it, though. I saw him falling, and then I saw him not falling, and then he fell.
Just not quite enough in the thumbs on that press undercling.
But I think he knows what to do now. We got a minute and a half left here.
Yeah. So you're going to kick yourself for, I mean, I know we talk about you have to, as you see here, he up, and then right there it looked like maybe, and then no.
See, in times like that, you almost want to just go for broke and try for the finish hold.
Just
keep going.
continue, while you're falling.
Yeah. It makes for the coolest tops, too.
Sabrina, half a hand away. So TJ just like leapt back up on.
Out of nowhere.
Either grabbed his chest because he bounced or his heart because he scared himself.
Yeah.
But you then, like, you have to mourn that fall in that boulder. Like, do you throw it out? Like, can you block out a mistake while you're trying the boulder, or does it creep in?
Well, sometimes with slabs, you start to lose trust for the feet, which is essential. You know, you trust it with your life, and then it betrays you, and then you're forced to reconcile that for
in your
sake
4
of the comp.
minutes.
Yeah. So we'll see if he can trust it again with his full
Self.
Yeah.
Nice and tall. Whereas you saw Ugo and Leo were reaching.
Yeah,
TJ stayed tall.
Yeah, it's interesting. His foot and then the zone is casual, whereas most people need that zone to stay on. All right, let's see if Sabrina can get some more distance. Oh.
She's right on it. TJ this time in control.
Oh, so tall. Yeah.
Yeah, barely needed to pull through.
That's great.
TJ Foley. Excellent work.
That's going to do a lot for his scorecard, yeah.
Sabrina now, just 3 seconds left.
Oh.
So,
see, I think with 3 seconds, that's more like she almost wants to do it. She just wants to say she did it, you know, and like have that, because it's not quite enough to get all the way. I mean, it could be.
You want to know that you fell off going for it, for your own sanity.
Yeah. Especially a home crowd, like there's an element of like wanting to get moves done and get people cheering and you know, getting behind you for whatever you're doing, whether you're going for the zone or the top. Every move, I think, is exciting. Just because it doesn't have a zone or a top tag on it doesn't mean it's not important to get to.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do all the moves to do the block. All right. Sienna Chow and Guy McNamee.
Yeah, so the men's field is coming down to attempts right now. There's a lot of tops flying around. I think for both sides it is, but the men, I think, is gonna be very.
It's gonna be tighter, yeah.
Well, it's gonna depend on this last boulder, but I think we're gonna need. It's almost like you need these tops now. We need a top from this slab up for Guy.
Yeah, it's turning into a 3-top to podium, like a 3-top to win round.
Well, in some rounds you don't know the results until the very end. Sometimes you already know it by the time we're at this point in the round.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe thought she was too far away, but managed to reel it in. No mistakes.
So hold on a second here. We got 3 flashes from Sienna now. It's neck and neck now with Babette. Like I'm sure Babette is feeling the pressure.
Yep.
Like, you know, maybe she's a pro, maybe she's like, you know, super calm and collected. I know I would be very
You'd be feeling it,
stressed.
yeah.
Oh, and he reaches the zone.
Did he use it though?
No, I wouldn't give zone to that.
No, me neither. Yeah,
It is
he's
smart,
get caught
though.
reaching. Yeah, it is a smart if it works.
Yeah, it's not enough to just touch it. If he were to reach over, he'd have to start leaning his body to the right, which you don't really want to do. So yeah, it'd be a tough call for the judges, and we do have volunteer judges, so we don't want to work them too hard.
We don't want to stress them out too much. The zone is definitely the most still adjusted rule. It's one of the most difficult like to interpret, but you need to have control of the zone, but then you have to start moving in the direction the boulder is going. So you can't just grab it and let go. You have to grab it and move your center of mass.
And that used to be the case. You could just touch it kind of, and then you got the zone. But
and then we decided that wasn't enough.
Yeah, it needs to be almost just used to help you, is basically the simplified version. That's what we try to, like, when I'm in a comp, I try to think about that. Just
use it.
So at this point, that was
still no.
Yeah, I wouldn't give that a zone.
And he's also got the feet the other way around than the other dudes who are matching the other way.
Yeah. You notice, like, these athletes don't want to just go for the zone at the last second to try to get it. It is that accurate and that bad that it's not even going to help you if you're that far away from the
exactly,
ball.
yeah. So a couple of misses now. So he is not flashing boulders, but has been doing boulders. So, I mean, a minute is enough time. Don't write him off. He's adjusted the feet now. If he steps through.
Oh.
All right, now just under a minute. You can look at that focus. Doesn't look comfortable though.
No, like this is a tricky slab. Like you got this big hold with so much chalk on it, but there's nothing to grab on.
Gets the step through this time.
Oh, see, that looked great, but the foot slip. So we got 30 seconds left.
Oh, time to brush.
Yeah.
Not really. And then, thank you. Get that out of the way. Here we go. This might be a significant.
Oh. Yeah, he's learning it, but it's just not enough time.
Yeah.
So 10 seconds left. I think he might be called off. If he does. Oh. Oh.
He almost did that.
That was amazing.
He almost did that.
Honestly, sometimes.
Wow.
Sometimes it happens.
Yep.
Yeah. You think, what is this athlete doing?
Yeah.
They know what they're doing, especially at this level.
Yeah. They're like, I'm going to go one try, best try for the marbles. That will have an impact.
Yes.
That will have an impact.
I mean, unless no tops on the last one, then
Yep.
he's the only top.
For sure. It opens the door for spicy fourth boulder shakedowns.
So Babette is putting on liquid chalk before she gets on the dual text holds, which is interesting.
Because it's slipperier.
It's slippery, yeah. So I wonder, maybe that's just like, some athletes have a routine and it's always liquid chalk before the boulder, and we don't really change that depending on the boulder. I wonder if it's going to hurt her in this situation because it is flashes the bar right now.
She needs it, yeah she needs the flash.
But I have a feeling she'll probably be good. I don't see as much chalk on her shorts though. She usually has the.
There we go.
Oh, okay, there.
No problem.
And I'd say laches are probably her strong suit here.
Yeah.
And we've sent it.
Good save, yep. And then smooth to the top.
Yep, in control.
Rises to the pressure.
Oh, and Kinder with the zone. All right, so this is flash attempt here.
It is.
Huge. This is huge.
Huge.
I'm going to hold my tongue because I'm too nervous for this.
I know. Don't go to the foothold, Kinder. Don't need it. Don't need it. Thank you.
Okay, we're probably good, but oh yeah, Kinder. Yep.
Wow, that's clean. Kinder is absolutely climbing as good as I've ever seen him climb.
This is excellent, and he qualified in first place in semifinals, the hard round. So we're coming in pretty hot here.
Yep. This is.
But at this point,
clinical.
The fourth boulder is going to be imperative.
Yep.
It could change everything.
Okay,
let's check the scores here.
We'll check the scores. All right, well, a little quick refresh here puts us on. So Lucas sitting in first. Oh no, the results from 3 haven't come in yet for everyone. So we say live, but there's a very small lag.
It is a manual entry.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
All right. So Kinder on top, and then TJ, and then Lucas, and then Guy. So
we're separated by attempts. Kinder with 4 attempts to do 3 boulders.
Yep.
TJ 8 attempts to do 3 boulders, and Lucas 9 attempts.
So we will come down to the last boulder.
Yeah.
And then the showy, powerful boulder for the women, showy, powerful boulder for the men to finish. Lucas just going to put this V15 power to the test.
I will say this looks like a very Lucas-y boulder here.
Yeah. Holds that swing. This move is going to be.
So that's the top hold they're going for there.
Yeah.
So we straight zone to top, so you know it's hard. Oh.
Yeah. And the foot, the volume is only just off of vertical in terms of purchase for that left foot. Maybe someone's going to get a switch on how to hold on the zone. There's options for footwork there, but it's a dynamic press.
Definitely very powerful.
My back hurts looking at that.
Yep. And it's also it's kind of slopey inside that hold as well. It's not there's not much in cut to it. It's kind of just straight.
Yeah.
So you kind of pinch it when you get up there.
But the men grabbed it earlier on the semifinal. It was their footless traverse. So they know it, which I kind of love because the root setters have a lot of holes to choose from at the Block shop here.
Absolutely.
And they were like, you know what we should do? We should give them the start hold from the semis as the finish hold in the finals. Like someone had that
Absolutely
conversation.
on purpose, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just shy from Elise, needs a half a
bit more
pull.
swing towards it, yeah. A little bit of momentum maybe with her pull.
And this is a good look at how these two slopers are also not good.
Yeah, it's a good angle so you can see the steepness of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can see the foot they're getting on here now. Okay.
Oh, he's gonna try and go a little heel roll.
Oh.
You see the foot's coming off before the hand has purchased, and that's gonna be the complexity of this boulder. Elise staring at the zone holds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a long one too. Like it's super. This is why we didn't have room for that last boulder.
Right. Got to generate.
It's a good photo op right there.
Right there.
Oh, just getting the fingertips on there.
Half a hand difference. And are you, if you're climbing that boulder, are you looking for a swing or just a little bit more hand to shoulder pull?
I mean, a year ago I'd say the pull. I'm starting to be more swingy these days. I think we're heading that way. So it's probably meant to be a swing based on just, how the trends are going these days.
And the men's boulder here, the beginning of this is going to start to become sapping to do the move to the finish.
Yeah.
So you're going to run out of gas in a hurry, and we're 3 minutes down. We only have a minute left, and he's only tried it 3 times,
but honestly,
which is a lot.
Yeah, but all of these men are elite climbers as well. So they do have it. They have the endurance, but not for this steep, this hard. But, with a little bit of, wanting it, this is like nationals here. This is the podium we're talking about. Like,
this is the glory.
Can go, it can go a long way. All right, can we do this move to the zone? Oh,
almost.
Yeah, she's getting a little bit further away. We're like starting to deplete here.
Do you think I'm curious about a little half match, like a little false bump?
Yeah, and it's possible to be broken as well, potentially.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 10 seconds left here.
Lucas, he got up immediately. There is just enough time.
Oh,
Lucas Uchida gotta go.
Oh, that was the closest attempt.
That was the best try.
There's that glory pressure and
right down at the buzzer. Excellent climbing from Lucas Uchida. It is going to come down to this boulder.
Yep.
The men, they've earned their right to win it on one boulder, the way they've climbed.
I mean,
and the women is also coming down to the last boulder.
Yeah. And it doesn't look like the most flashable boulder. This is probably the hardest one of the rounds.
Yeah.
Just from the looks of it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, with no zone, I think everyone has been getting generally all the zones.
Yes, and that's a hard-to-earn zone there.
It is, yeah. And then a couple more moves yet to go on that boulder still, too. So we got our interior crew. Yeah, Leo loves the shoulder moves, eh? Yeah. He's most comfortable in that position.
Yeah, that move is hard.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's a pocket in there, like a really deep pocket, but you got to get it right. We've been doing a lot of this 360 pocket stuff in Montreal.
Yeah.
I've seen online.
Okay.
Pretty popular.
Frustrating because you can have the power and miss the accuracy like 7 or 8 times, which is too much for the 4-minute window here.
But it's perfect for a comp because you don't have to learn a new move. You just have to get it right one of these attempts.
Yeah. So it's familiar to you, right? That's where the training comes in. That's when you want to have the breadth of movement knowledge that you've built up over the years to say, oh, my shoulders know how to do this. Now I just have to get the timing right. I might have to pull a little bit, swing a little bit, even drop maybe. There's all of these subtle changes that are going to make a difference.
But that's the tricky part too. There's so many options. Like you can be super well practiced at something like this, but every boulder is unique, and it's you got to learn it. Maybe the learning curve is a little bit less for some people, but we're going foot first.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
one try.
It seems like there is something to put your foot on in there. There must be like a bit of a ridge or something.
Yeah, I think. And then Leo, that time just sort of released the start move,
Yeah.
like pulled on with tension and released it. So you know that even establishing is going to be difficult.
Well, you can see that left hand is just a sloper, just
Yeah.
a mega sloper. If the friction's not right, you might as well not even attempt it.
And that can come down to a hand placement that's off by a couple of centimeters.
Yeah.
And then just unable to get the pop. You need to be a bit high, I think, to squeeze that compression properly.
Yeah.
When you cannot compress at full extension over your head, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And I think this is also showing that this was very much in Lucas's wheelhouse.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So seeing the contrast between two very skilled finalists, you know, like it's just strengths and weaknesses. That's what this whole game is about. Can you be the best at, not even the best, but can you be really good at everything, not just like the things you're really good at?
Yeah, can you have less holes in your climbing?
Yes.
Is almost more important than can you be like super elite at one or two things.
Yeah. And like we were saying, with more trends coming up, you gotta start adding more stuff to make sure you're not like behind the curve with some of these things.
But there is a little bit of joy, I'm sure, in coming out into a round and being like, I've never done that move before.
Yes.
Let me show you how smart I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a level of that skill, just being able to think on your feet. You've climbed enough, you kind of get the general gist of what climbing is.
And you do see more on the World Cup level, but you see people completely stumped by boulders. They just stand there with their hands on their hips going, I really have actually no idea what to do here. I'm going to try it a bunch of times, but I'm baffled.
It speaks to how good those root setters are, that they're able to take that huge risk and still try to get some separation. And honestly, most of the time it works out.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the last of our Ontario crew there.
Yeah, a well-deserved rise in the applause for their last attempt. So Leo, I mean, that stings a little bit.
Yeah, it's not the ideal way to finish a round, but, you know, it's been a crazy round.
And you rather have hard boulders, right? Like people talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
I would rather be faced with boulders that are just nails hard and be like, I have something to get better at. Like I will be better than that boulder in 6 months or 2 months or 3 months from now.
Yeah. We want to go to nationals to be challenged, not to, you know, win by maybe an attempt. You know? So I'm glad that we've got these two final boulders. I think these are a perfect way to end the round.
There's a lot to be learned in failure, Maddie.
Of
Like,
course.
I mean, we fail more than we succeed in climbing, and there's a lot to be learned both about your own ability to recover, but also what did you physically learn?
For sure.
Even in not being able to perfectly do movements. Kaya sticking it
Staring
first
it
try, and Ugo getting the compression first try.
Super, yeah. Yeah, Hugo's looking comfortable.
He is. He's got that toe where Lucas was campusing.
Oh.
Ugo had the toe for longer.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you know, once you're swinging, that sloper is not going to help you.
No, not so much.
It's your feet that are going to be trying to slow that momentum. There's nothing else to hold on to, unless you can really hold that one arm. But it's, you know, it's a good jug. It's a good crimp, but it's not.
It's not a bucket.
Yeah, we can't throw our athletes off of these holds.
No.
And you can see the left start hold of the women's boulder here is also blocked. So adding an extra layer of just, you know, not super comfortable holds. You never want to be fully comfortable.
At any point.
Exactly.
Nice work. Ugo
See if Kaya's going to learn. Oh, yeah.
does a little bit,
It's getting closer, yeah. Oh, and two hands. There we go.
The lightning match.
And let's see how he does on this last one.
Heel first, now toe.
Oh!
Inside out!
Oh!
Ugo Dorval. Wonderful work.
Incredible, yeah. Humble as ever. Look at him.
Just a little smile, like, yeah, okay, I did it.
Yeah.
Tall enough. I don't think Lucas had the reach to turn inside out, and never tried.
He didn't go for that side. He just kept trying to hit it as an undercling, which is a lot harder.
Look at that.
I think,
inside out. And
Not
even the match
easy.
is desperate.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a pretty way to end your round.
Yep. All right. So Kaya looking for maybe a little swing, like you were saying.
Yeah. Oh. It's tough. Like you gotta have to. It's swing, but it's also like you gotta pull at the very end to get that extra inch.
Right. It's half a one arm, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as on the women's side, we're not used to seeing a lot of that kind of stuff. We campus sometimes, but it's not typically this complex of a campus. So
Yeah.
it's cool that we're heading into this area.
Yeah, I agree because there's the women are all capable of being burly
Of course.
because they are. So if you just dialed it up a half a notch, you'd be like, oh, we get you, but we're just going to go up a level.
Yeah.
It's a national final.
I was gonna say it's important that it's at this comp, so you can go home and say, okay, I'm now being asked to do this. I'm expected to do this. I'm gonna go rise to the challenge.
And then the close of that circle is once you prove that you can, the roofers are like, all right, next.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're getting a little more tired, but we're still able to do this. Come on.
Oh.
It's just outside of that reach. If it was, I don't know if it's perfect resetting or if it's just like ever so slightly too far away.
Yep.
I would expect it's perfect.
Yep.
Perfectly just beyond.
Just beyond the reach of an easy pull. Yeah, exactly.
We've had a couple athletes now get just that close to it.
Yeah. And then we get to see the two, like the class of the round so far in Sienna and Babette is who we get to see battle this out for the top spot.
So I think Sabrina is going to have a good time on this boulder. She's coming up next.
Also true, yes, also true. Maybe not fighting for a podium spot at this point, but the boulder is in her wheelhouse.
For sure, yeah. And honestly, last boulder of the round, first final ever. I think this is the time to, let it
Bring
loose.
the guns out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be great photos.
Yes.
We need some memorabilia from this event. This is the perfect, I feel like setters do that on purpose sometimes.
Yep. I'm reminded
Into account.
of Alex Puccio at the first Block Shop Open doing the 360 Rose move.
I think we had Sean doing something similar to at our nationals in 2015.
Yes, yep. Just back there.
Yeah, yeah.
On that wall over there behind us.
Yeah, I'm always afraid that they're not going to do all 4 points.
Right?
Like
and
this.
get called up immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh.
Almost.
Yeah, start the learning process.
Yeah, the little nod is like, okay, now I know how far it is.
Yeah. Like, even if you didn't learn what to do, you learn what not to do. You're not going to try that again. Or maybe not that exact way. So, TJ, on the other hand, has the right idea here. It's just about execution. And these slopers are getting slipperier and slipperier as more chalk on them.
True.
And it's tiring to brush. Like, it might seem trivial, but, like, brush.
Arms are over your head. Yeah. Blood is not going where you want it to.
Yeah, and the brushes here are made of metal, so it's like kind of heavy.
There we go.
Yes. A little bit of a fumble, but he did not impact him at all.
Oh, just overconfident maybe in how good that was.
Well, he's got the length too. I think he's used to just kind of spanning and then releasing.
Sabrina. Oh, that little pull at the end is closer. Two minutes, so enough time to take a breath, but TJ is going to go straight at it. Why not?
I mean, he's looking good, yeah. Yep. Again, like if you've got it in your head, you know exactly what you got to do it immediately.
And this time in control.
Yeah.
Yeah, no mistakes this time, TJ.
Yeah, he's looking excellent on this. Let's see if he goes for the Hugo Beta. Oh, double was a good idea. That was a good idea.
Yep. I like it. I like it.
Like imagine trying to stick an undercline like that way above.
No, I'd rather not. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so she's swinging really well, but then it's almost like she swings, and then on the reverb, she's now going for it. She's got to connect that a little bit.
Yeah, that you have to, the momentum has to continue.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's well spotted.
This is the learning. Like, it's unfortunate because she can't see herself doing it. I can, so I can.
You get to, yeah. That's
Maybe
why this chair is so much fun.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe if I were in a position, I wouldn't
necessarily know that was the mistake you were making, yeah.
Yeah, that right heel hook is key there.
TJ.
Is he gonna go for the same beta?
I mean, it almost worked.
Oh!
Almost
he tried
saved
to
it.
save it, yeah.
He's tall enough to go inside out.
Yeah. He does not look tired yet.
No. Oh, Sab's starting to lose that
He is
pull.
getting tired, yeah.
But he's gonna, I mean, as soon as you pick up the chalk bag, she's definitely gonna try one more time.
Of
You gotta go
course.
out swinging
Yeah.
on the last boulder.
No, like it's not a good national unless you're bleeding at the end.
I have a picture of your fingers
Yep.
from Toronto 2 years ago.
Every year. it looks
Every
like that.
tip,
Yeah.
bleeding from every fingertip.
So we got 22 seconds left here.
He's looking at the
That
clock.
is more than enough time for this top here.
TJ Foley, podium implications.
Oh, just not high enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, a wonderful climbing from Sab and TJ through the round.
Yeah.
TJ had a couple of just technically beautiful moments.
Yeah, you can see his skill is very, very high. Like a couple more years, like maybe even one more year of experience, and he is like always going to be in this final.
And I think he's done growing, right? He got
Yeah.
tall, so that's always the thing, is you kind of go through that spurt where you're like, my limbs are a lot farther away than they used to be.
Yeah.
I used to be quite strong because my limbs were quite short, and now I have this much longer reach, and so
Yeah.
you get comfortable as you turn into an adult, and you start to get strong in that frame.
Well, speaking of still growing, Sienna is only 16 years old.
16
She's
years
our
old.
youngest finalist. I think it's her second year in youth A.
It is.
Or they changed the categories recently, but very young. Our youngest winner of nationals was Evangelina, and she was 15 when she won.
Yeah.
But that was only because she was going to turn
In the
16
same
soon.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, this is as young as it gets, unless her birthday is in December.
Yeah. Nice from Guy.
Okay, she's looking calm.
So calm.
Oh yeah, Guy's getting there.
Low toe. I love that. They might even be stacked.
Oh!
Just missed.
Sienna gets
What?
tight. Oh!
What?
Oh, he's resting it up. Oh!
Maddie. Oh, he saves it again.
Wow.
Guy wants this flash.
Yeah. Well, he knows. It's been attempts that's been taking him. Come on, Guy. Oh.
I was not expecting him to go straight.
That's
Campus.
that pinch
Oh,
strength is
wow.
insane. A vertical pinch like that. I think they do actually train those vertical pinches you see sometimes at the gym.
Look at that.
That is a replay moment.
If he had managed to get that left foot on in the original, like right on the first swing,
Yeah.
and it doesn't even go to extension. Wow. Guy McNamee with power to spare. If he takes a good rest, maybe 30 seconds.
Well, yeah, we're at just over 2 minutes. And remember, we only have 4 minutes here, so sometimes when you see 2 minutes, that's like we're almost done, but we're about halfway through our time right now. So Sienna has finally fallen in this round.
Right? Hey!
It can sometimes feel weird to break
can.
the seal a little bit.
Yeah.
It can be a bit flustering at first.
Yeah, you're like, I am fallible.
Yeah.
Because in the back of your mind, it's like, oh, maybe I get a no-fall final.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Evangelina did that when she won.
Yep.
No fall final.
Correct.
Which those were not easy boulders. Oh.
Lapse in concentration.
Yep.
Sienna Chow. Trying to find the angle for the swing.
She did a very interesting swing. I wouldn't have thought to do it like that. I wonder if that, I mean, she's getting close, so that must be a good way to do it. I would have thought the side-to-side swing
Would have been a little
forward.
easier, yeah.
She's kind of using it to kind of twist around, so. All right, come on, Guy.
I love this toe, the way he's got his feet on this boulder.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
come on, Guy, come on.
Yes, he's got the power. Guy McNamee, look at that. Scream at the top.
Amazing.
I think he was hoping to get enough of a knee bar to lean back
saw
and
that,
wave.
yeah. We don't have to talk about that.
No.
Well, typically you can grab the top of the wall, but we got this nice banner on top of our walls.
Yeah.
here.
Oh, excellent work, Guy McNamee.
That's a good way to end it off.
Yeah.
That could be important. That
Yes, it could be.
Yeah. Nothing is over. This is a great final boulder for the men. It is separating very, very well. Same with the women's side. Although I'd love to see a zone here.
Yeah, 30 seconds left, just under. Sienna Chow gonna go figure four. No.
You might as well give it a shot.
Might as well give it a shot.
All right, 15 seconds. Oh.
Yeah, you're right. That sort of egg beater is giving her the twist, but not the lateral.
Yeah. So with that, we have secured Babette's victory.
No, she still has to get the zone.
Count back.
Oh, do the count back.
Yeah,
Correct,
yeah.
correct.
Yeah. But it is tied technically right now.
Yeah.
But
And you know she wants to win it outright.
of course.
Regardless.
And it's hard to say how she gets. She's a bit smaller, so the reach is going to be a bit further for her.
Yep.
But she definitely does these kind of moves.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
this might be very exciting for our crowd. And then Kinder still has a little bit of work to do here.
So Bab, all focus. Work to do with 4 minutes. This is round two. Maddie, I hope you've been having fun.
Oh yeah.
It's been great having you in the chair. Your insights are invaluable. Your knowledge and experience. I hope at home that you're realizing that you're in for. It was a treat tonight to have this knowledge on, and we are in for a treat for one more climber on each boulder. 4 minutes to take us to the end of our national bouldering final, and the color of the medals is still up for grabs on the men's side.
Yeah, this gets okay. Just a quick fumble, that's all right.
Yeah, it's all good. No problem. Yep. And the crowd will get behind Babs.
People got their phones out already.
Yeah, if she sticks this zone, the roof is going to come off.
Decisive.
Babette Roy, can she ride that wave through to the finish?
That looks like a tricky finish move
A
here.
little bit tricky, nothing on there. Kinder swings out Babette Roy with a flash of the last boulder to finish the perfect round. Is going to be your 2024 national champion. Well deserved, and has had a great season coming through. She was second at the high performance in the earlier in the year. Is climbed hard at festival comps over the summer.
Yeah. She spent some time in Germany this past year as well.
Yeah.
And she didn't actually go to last year's national, but she was in Germany at the time. She went to the high performance.
Skipping.
Oh, we got the zone.
After skipping the second sloper,
That's crazy.
Kinder Magnamy, take us home.
Oh!
Saves it.
Man, this foot is troublesome.
Oh, the power.
Oh.
Maddie, the power.
Kinder! Yeah!
Kinder Magnamy, just slow grind. Wow.
That must feel
That's
amazing.
the root setters loving life. And then always, Guy is the happiest man in the room for his brother. That is just the way with them. What a final 2024 National Bouldering Championships coming down to the last boulder and almost the last move. Christian Marceau, our director. Yeah, the heat in the room for sure.
Yeah.
Beautiful boulders, really, really good climbing. Anything that really, so we got a little bit of time, they're going to do a podium. I encourage you to stick around and watch the podium. Even though if you've been looking at the results, you know it's really cool to see people stand on a podium and get their just desserts.
Always a little bit of emotion on these podiums.
Absolutely. Favorite boulder?
Men's four. Men's four, come on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really, really liked the slab, but men's for a dime of a boulder for sure.
The separation was just impeccable on that boulder alone. Like, take the rest of the comp out of it. Like, you could select a champion just on that boulder.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think Hugo did it in 2 attempts, and then Kinder was also 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, showing people throwing their strengths, it was amazing.
Yeah, really all around a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Oh yeah, this was the best way to watch a comp.
Yeah, it's a good seat. And we're going to go, the podium is going to get ready, so hang out on the stream. We're also going to try to get the winners back over here for an interview. Even if it's not, if you leave for the live, it'll end up on there. So hang out with us while we do the podium.
Oh my gosh.
trying to earn their self. You should just go do some push-ups and get yourself a crash pad.
Yeah, seriously. I don't think I outdoor climb enough for crash pad. Wouldn't go to good use with me.
No.
So what is actually going on here? It's like who can do the most push-ups?
I suspect so. I've done this job a lot as well, and the space between the last climber and the podium, when you try not to have people leave, a little like high value prize is worth it.
Right.
So now we're gonna have a little push-up contest. I did a handstand contest one year.
That I cannot do a handstand.
Some people can do. It was crazy. It was like a minute handstand.
Yeah. Some climbers, like, there's so many different skills that can make a good climber. Like, some people like to do the handstands, and that's like how they. I know Shauna Cox used to train handstands a lot.
I mean, that overhead shoulder stability is super critical.
Of course, yeah.
Like, and it's funny because we are like that about climbing movement that we turned a joke into actually though.
Yeah.
That's a really important strength to have as a climber.
Yeah, I prefer my dumbbells for the overhead press.
Yeah.
But the core and strength that comes from doing a handstand, super applicable.
Yeah.
Also, I'll say, super hard to do push-ups on
the
mats
mat.
like that.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah.
Like you feel like you're not going down enough.
And then you get the rebound. There's no push.
Yeah.
Oh.
All good form too.
All really good form. These ladies are not messing around.
I think I'd be out at this point.
I mean, I actually think I also would be out at this point. I hate push-ups.
Oh yeah. I'd rather, like, again, stick a dumbbell in my hand. Don't make me do something body weight for like 20 reps.
Forever. Yeah.
Oh.
Whoever is on the left is showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah.
Like, could maybe do 10 more.
Well, she wanted it. She really wanted it. Yeah.
She took her phone out of her pocket. Like, all the extra weight is coming out.
Seriously.
Oh, that's good. Oh, there's one for the boys.
Oh yeah, I was wondering why it was all girls there. I guess they just wanted to.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
So many.
That is an effective way to do this.
This is hilarious. And I mean, it is a crash pad.
Yeah.
There's a little value.
300,
Yeah. And So-Il stuff is always so beautifully designed. So, I mean, you get a pink polka dot crash pad out of it.
Yeah. So I'll say anyone wearing, you see everyone's ripping their sweaters off.
Yeah.
Anyone with long sleeve is probably doomed. Which I guess there's one guy over there.
Toques may be doomed.
Yeah.
There's some denim. I don't know if that's a help or a hindrance.
Yeah.
I would try and get on a seam, Maddie. I would have a hand on a seam. The tape is generally a little bit firmer.
Yeah. Comp tactics. You know, they actually do something like this in the Czech Republic. After every national, there's like a strength comp immediately after finals.
Oh my goodness.
And Adam Ondra famously has not won this comp. He'll like destroy finals. They'll win by a landslide, and then he'll come in like 5th at the strength comp.
That's really
afterwards.
quite funny.
Yeah.
I remember we used to do a home wall comp at my friend's home garage. And after that, the second prize was most number of pull-ups after 3 hours of climbing.
Yeah.
And Will Gadd, who's a legendary Canadian ice climber, would just casually bang out 25 plus pull-ups.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, I could do like 5 at the end of 3 hours of climbing.
Honestly, like the endurance athletes, like they just can do anything.
Kind of forever, and it makes me angry.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I don't love it about them. Say what you will about ice climbing, they have the ability to bend their arms over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just like holding isometrics.
Yeah, at
It's
all
crazy.
times.
I'll say this is a great way to keep the audience around.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it.
The
Oh,
athletes have a chance to,
denim out.
Oh. Yeah, the guys are holding in there.
Oh, out.
Oh, he's checking form too?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think his shirt was meant for it.
out for sure. Yeah, too many buttons undone.
Yep.
Too many buttons undone. Out. Bucket hat is struggling.
He's getting them done, but they're looking hard.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think anyone's listening to his cues anymore.
No.
Bucket hat. Bucket hat.
Bucket hat is out.
Oh, and there
someone
goes
bumped into a
camera.
camera. Out.
Yeah. Oh.
Back.
Oh. Do we have a winner? 2 more? This is riveting.
It is, in fact.
Oh, see, that guy's going up faster.
Woo!
Oh, and the baggy jeans, too.
Baggy jeans. Maybe, I'm just going to throw it out there. I like a little controversy. Baggy jeans, you could maybe be touching the ground still and just make it look like it's only the jeans.
That's true. That is true.
I'm just going to spin a little controversy out into the world.
We're going to peel that
Take
crash
what
pad.
you will. If you were second place in the push-up contest and you're watching this, you might have room for an appeal.
So I think this background is new this season. That's
It
our
is.
new logo for the season, printed on the back.
Yeah, the year as part of the logo this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really professionalizes it. Like I think that's what Canada's been trying to do for the last few years. We're trying to professionalize ourselves a little bit more. And that started with the way we select our team, and now it's, and the way what it looks like behind the podium.
Yeah, because it seems like it should be an afterthought, like, oh, why does it matter what happens on the podium? But that's where the photos come from. That's what people are looking at on social media. That's what they're striving for. And you see kind of other countries where they've got, like, established. And this year, it's going to be cool. I don't know if we're going to get to see it, so I'll just tell you, we now have a plaque with all the previous year's winners on it.
They might. No, yeah, they're probably not going to hand it to them, but yeah.
So you get your name etched in now
Yeah.
on something that sticks around.
Forever.
And that's one of the cool things about trophies that you put names on is that all the other winners are there.
Yep.
Provisional results are up. 5 minutes for appeal.
So now we have 5 minutes.
So I don't actually know what the men's scores are. I
Yeah,
know
let's have a
Kinder
look.
is in first place.
Yeah, let's have a look. We've got time. They have room to appeal.
I didn't see anything appeal worthy, I don't think.
I don't think either.
Our pass is full with great achievement and it's
Sorry.
All right, so on the women's side, Babette Dubois in first with 4 tops and 4, flashed the round. Sienna Chow, 3 tops and 3, flashed what couldn't do, third boulder. Molly Dreyer is going to close out your podium with 2 tops, 2 zones, just ahead of Kaya on attempts. And then Elise Villeneuve with 1 and 3, sorry, and Sabrina with 1 and 3, again, just separated by attempts to zone.
Yeah, that's
So-
a tough one to get
Yeah.
the separation on.
That's a tight round on the women's side. And for our gentlemen, so at the top, Kinder Magnamy is going to be your national champion. 4 tops, 4 zones in 7 tries.
Super perfect.
TJ Foley, 3 tops, 4 zones, and staying ahead of Lucas by 1 attempt to top, who's going to close out your podium in 3rd place.
Incredible.
Yeah, Guy McNamee getting shut out on Boulder 3 was the difference. Hugo Dorval with 2 and 3.
But a stylish way to
Yes,
come in 5th. for
absolutely
sure. Yeah.
beautiful finish to the round. And Leo Santoprete shut out on Boulders 3 and 4, but wonderful work. 1 top, 2 zones.
Yeah.
That's a good separation. It's tight, but also immediately noticeable that 4 tops was the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good for both sides. I mean, you don't, again, it's a little bit less like climactic when it's, everyone gets three or 4 tops and we're just like looking at what was the difference? Like we want a big difference, like something that really distinguishes an athlete.
Yeah.
That's what setters are always going for.
And it's cool when I mean, you can win it on the first boulder, but it's cool when it's clear that it's the last boulder.
Yes,
because
yeah.
people are thinking back, they're like, wait a minute, well, who did 1? Did everybody do 1?
That's a good point. I never thought about that. Like this is what the audience trying to keep track of it in their heads. They don't want to have to think back to what do I remember, who did what. Yeah. And it's also so clear, like that top hold is unmistakable. It's not like a little crimp that people
Yeah,
imagine.
you're like, oh, I pinky matched it
Yeah,
to win.
It was
You're
very
like, no,
dramatic topping, like getting
Yeah.
2 hands on that.
It was burly and
I
powerful.
think almost everyone got a hand on it, I think.
Yeah, some people got 2 hands on it. I think this is the right time to say a huge thank you to the Bloc Shop for hosting. They have been hosting national and larger than national level comps for a long time now. They're always ready to step up and put their gym at the disposal of the Canadian climbing community. So huge thank you to the Bloc Shop. and their staff who are working super hard over this weekend. Big thank you to the volunteers. All of the judges are volunteers, and we need them. Our camera people for the live stream are volunteers, so they are volunteering for this. So a huge thank you to everybody that comes out to a national championship and puts their time out for the benefit of the community. A big thank you, of course, to the CEC, who continues to just try to push climbing forward in Canada. Big respect to all of the climbers, of course. And if you watched at home, if you're still watching, thanks for hanging out with us. It's also really important that we get people watching, because then we get to say, oh, look, on our live stream, this is the kind of interest we generated, and now we can maybe change that to sponsorship, and maybe the money comes in. Money makes the world go round, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot to put a comp on.
Yeah, and even for the athletes, like exposure at your national is very important. You don't want to, have people asking, oh, how did the nationals go? You want to have seen it or,
Yes.
Heard about it on social media. We need the athletes to get personal sponsors as well. So yeah, everything just, feeds to everything.
Yeah, and a big thank you to all the sponsors. There is a sponsors list on the landing page for this event, but Bodega Hold, So Ill, Flat Hold. I'm also trying to see who else I can see. Flash, Grizzly Grips, across the top there, and they're contributing.
Arc'teryx Royal store in Montreal.
Yes, Mammoth.
Tenaya. Although those might be Bloc shop sponsors.
They could be, could be. They're, some of them donate prizes, some of them donate holds, some of them donate money. The crash pads came from So Ill. And then we get to do this again on Sunday. So lead starts on Sunday with the qualifiers, and then semis and finals will go down on Monday. Same time, sorry, not same time, same place, back on the Beta Breakers YouTube channel. And I think we're just gonna put our mics down for now. We will let this podium play out, and then if we can get interviews back, we'll bring them back. But Maddie, thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for your insights. It was a good time.
All finalists on the podium, men and women, please come beside the podium. We need you now, please. la choc, Christy Griff, à l'occasion ainsi que la corde Mahmoud et un petit